What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some news, ladies and gentlemen. We have got some news about some cards that have gone and received an errata. Yeah, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, there are some cards that have, shall we say, been, well, let's say printed and end up working in a way that maybe we would rather they didn't work. So some official erratas have gone and been revealed to essentially fix things. Oh yeah, and we've also got the official rulings for exactly how we should be playing pre-releases. Sound like fun? I think so. Let's get rolling. Now, we're starting off with a couple of promo cards here. These are ones that are going to be in those great booster packs, which are going to be box toppers for BT4. A Great Legend power-up pack, I think they're actually officially called. And let's start off having a little bit of a look at Lobomom. Now, Lobomom used to read, on your turn, when digivolving one of your Digimon into an ancient Garurumon in your hand, reduces Digivolution cost by 2. It now reads, on your turn, when digivolving this Digimon into an ancient Garurumon in your hand, reduces Digivolution cost by 2. So the difference here essentially is that now it is the Digimon that has digivolved from this Lobomom, which can digivolve more cheaply, whereas how it was actually written, it was any of your Digimon. So having any Digimon digivolved from Lobomom would then allow you to digivolve anything into Ancient Garurumon more cheaply. And frankly, that never made any sense. Like, if we look through the Digimon TCG, when we've got these evolution cheating mechanics going on, it has always been limited to that particular Digimon. It's never been a case where we've got evolution cheating on one Digimon that applies to your whole board. That's just generally not the way it tends to go. Essentially, this is one of those situations where when we saw the English scan, we looked at it and it was like, well, hang on a second. That doesn't make a huge amount of sense. That's not generally how it tends to work. Well, no. That is not generally how it tends to work. And I think this has got to be a good thing, right? This has got to be the way it was intended to be played. So I have absolutely no problem with this. I think this is absolutely a good thing. So, yeah. Quite frankly, this makes perfect sense to me. Now, the next errata might end up seeming pretty obvious as well. It is a Gunimon, and it is the equivalent promo for Ancient Greymon that has the equivalent power, and therefore has an equivalent errata. It used to read, on your turn when digivolving one of your Digimon into Ancient Greymon, reduces Digivolution cost by 2, and it now reads when digivolving this Digimon into an Ancient Greymon in your hand, reduces Digivolution cost by 2. And the analysis I just gave you for Lobomom is exactly the same here. This is the way that Digimon has always worked. Digimon tend to reduce the Digivolution cost for themselves, rather than having permanent powers that give a ridiculous advantage to all of their compadres. Now, I've seen some really quite disrespectful things towards Bandai for this, and all I'm going to tell you is, right, this happens, and don't get me wrong, it sucks, but it happens. It is a very, very small translation error. Instead of putting this Digimon, they put one of your Digimon. Translation errors happen. It's one of those things. No, it's not ideal. Obviously, we prefer it if they didn't. But remember back in the early days of the Pokemon trading card game when Wizards of the Coast ran the game, they mistranslated a Slowking that, in a very literal sense of the word, actually broke the game. It basically stopped you playing a lot of your deck. If you could flip heads, it was only supposed to work in the active. It ended up working from the bench, which meant you could put 4 Slowking on the bench and they would all work. So when your opponent tried to play a trainer card, which is a lot of their deck, they would have to flip 4 heads in a row just in order to be able to play that one card. That was a silly mistake by Wizards of the Coast. These things happen. No, it's not ideal, but it's gone and been fixed. And frankly, I'm sorry, But anyone who plays this game seriously and regularly would have spotted a mile off that that was a mistake. So I don't think we need to be quite as mean as some people have been. These things happen. Now, the other errata which is coming in for Great Legend is Mykumon. When you play it, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 4,000 power for the turn. No issues. It is not actually the skill that the errata actually comes in with. It is the type, or the attribute, I should say. Both. Before the errata, the attribute was unidentified and the type was unidentified. After, the attribute is unknown and the type is unknown. And you might think, well, hang on a second, Wassy, is that particularly important? And the answer is maybe. Maybe. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, if we take a look at something like the upcoming Karamon from BT5, when you play it, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and you add a Digimon with unidentified in its type, and one Errata Sonata from among them to your hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Well, this is actually pretty gosh darned important, because pre-errata, that would mean you would be able to get Mykumon, and post-errata, it means you can't get Mykumon. Now, obviously, Karamon is intended to be, helping the whole Diaboromon line, so again, this makes perfect sense, but that's just an example there of, well, hang on a second, it's maybe not quite as straightforward as you might think here. I know a lot of people want to look at this and go, why does it matter? Well, actually, there are cards that interact with it, and what we don't really want is having these cards working in ways that they were never intended to be working. So, arguably a little bit mean, yes, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this does make a pretty large amount of sense. Now, pre-releases are going on, I believe, this weekend. I really hope it's this weekend. And one of the things that has gone and been updated on the official website is the official rules for playing in the sealed format. And to be blunt, it's anarchy, and I love it. So here are the main bullet points. You use 6 packs to make a deck. You don't have to be 6 packs. 6 packs is suggested, but you open 6 packs and you do what you will from there. You then make a 40-card deck. Yes, it's lower than normal, but you're only using 6 packs. And you ignore the card limit. That means that instead of being limited to 4 cards with a particular number, you can in fact play as many as you like. But bearing in mind you're only opening 6 packs. So the chances of actually being able to pull 5 or 6 of a particular Digimon is frankly extremely low. And all unused cards make a sideboard. Yeah, speaking of which, every card you pull that doesn't go in your deck goes into your sideboard, and you can switch as many cards as you like from your sideboard into your deck between games. I love this, because the whole point is it's a pre-release deck. Now, bearing in mind, Digimon cards come in packs of 12, you're opening 6 packs, so you're opening 72 cards, you're putting 40 in your deck, taking out Digitama, etc., taking out any options you can't use on all of that. It means that you aren't actually going to have that big a sideboard, but it means that, we all make our pre-release decks just on the fly, in the shop, or wherever. This means that if you do a silly, you can fix it pretty much instantly. I adore this, because it means you're really making the most of all of the cards that you pull, rather than making a deck and having to run with it even if you didn't do brilliantly. I think it's wonderful. Now, the thing that does make me slightly nervous, but I think has to be the case, you ignore Digivolution color requirements. Not all evolution requirements, but you ignore color requirements. So, if I'm rocking along with my level 3 Bushiagamon, I can go and evolve it into a level 4 Blimpmon, even though I shouldn't really be able to Digivolve a yellow into a black. But that's the way it works here. And this is one of those necessary rules. I don't like it because it makes me feel a bit queasy, but it needs to be done. Because otherwise, remember, you're only getting like 72 cards here. So you might literally not have any yellow level 4s, so you need to be able to Digivolve irregardless of colour here. So, although it's something I don't particularly like, it is 100% absolutely necessary. It does need to be done. Although there are obviously exceptions to this, so going back to the hybrid Digimon, they specifically mention that they must... So if we take a look at a Gunimon, for instance, it specifically mentions it can Digivolve from a red tamer. So you could Digivolve a Gunimon from any level 3 of any colour, but you couldn't Digivolve it from a blue tamer, yellow tamer, etc., because the card specifically mentions it Digivolves from a red tamer. But other than that, you can Digivolve whatever you want into whatever you want, as long as it's following the levels quite nicely. I adore this. I think this is really cool. Now, like I've said, I don't like the whole evolving into a different colour. It just makes me feel weird on my insides, but with such a small card pool you're working with, it's kind of inevitable. So now we know, and look, it's a pre-release. You don't have to follow these rules. If you don't want to follow these rules and everybody there doesn't, then fine, don't. The fact of the matter is, a lot of stores, my local store for instance, are still not going to be running in-store pre-releases for the pretty obvious reason. So if you're doing a pre-release at home, you do it however you like, ladies and gentlemen, but those are the official rules. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the news we need to know about today. Some erratas and some pre-release rules. And now it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think about all of this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.